Are we there? Are we there? Are we there? Are we there? Are we going? Are we going? Are we live? Are we feeding? Are we talking? Are we streaming? Hello, 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 hello. This is RHJunior, aka Reality Check, coming to you live for Spleen Squeezins. The most amazing show on the internet. What's so amazing about it? It's amazing that anyone watches it. That's a clever trick right there. I've never tried it, but it looks like a clever trick. For frying an egg, lay down an onion ring. Take an onion, peel it, cut it, and then pop the rings out. Slice it, and then take one of the slices, pop a ring out. Use the ring and drop the egg. Lay the ring on the skillet, and then lay the crack the egg into the ring. Instant. It keeps your egg from running all over the place, and it seasons your egg at the same time. Yay! Yeah. Okay, let's talk. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. I'm still fiddle faddling with the audio and everything here, trying to get everything balanced. It's insane, they got all sorts of announcements. I forget where was it that Bulgaria was the release? Oh, in the news, Islamic terrorists perform an attack in somewhere in Europe. Uh, Other topping headlines: sun rises in the east, predicted to set in the west. Seriously, not even surprised anymore. I don't know how many of you have read. Let's see here. There's a fantasy series. The first book in it is Wizard's First Rule. It's the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. Now, Terry Goodkind is very objectivist, and that it is reflected in his works, in his books. In all of his books, in particular, current events are bringing to mind his volume Naked Empire. Basically, the hero of the story, the one who bears the sword of truth, discovers an empire, a nation of people, a hidden empire of people who are essentially immune to magic. They cannot see it. They cannot, and they cannot see it. They cannot sense it, and it cannot affect them directly. Uh, you could spend all day casting magic missile at them, and they'd think you were a nut. But uh, uh, he goes into this empire, and uh, to read it, you would swear it was a parody uh, of leftist thinking. And there's another. I forget what. Wait, I may be getting the books mixed up. There's another one. I've read several of them, but there is one. Actually, I don't think it's the Naked Empire. That's the one I'm thinking of. There's another one where he goes to another nation. There's this evil empire rising in the south that's going to, just just homicidal, genocidal maniacs that are going to sweep over the world and slaughter everything in the name of their evil god. Is this starting to sound familiar? But and he's trying to find allies. And he goes to this one nation that's it's basically flown up its own backside. The culture is wallows in self-flagellation. Most of the they have an educational a public schooling system that most of the lessons basically consist of the people of the teachers uh, leading the students in self-loathing and guilt over how they conquered and supposedly conquered and wiped out the civilization of the they uh, of people that had been in the land before. Parody of the of how America colonized how Europe colonized the North American continent. And he tries to convince the people that peril is coming, and the response by those in power is to resent his influence, and they engage in a counter campaign, uh, which they literally go out chanting, "Give peace a chance." Derry Goodkind is not noted for subtlety. But anyway, this nation has remained safe because along its borders it has these weapons. They're basically giant bells. Anyone that hears the toll, you ring one of these bells, it kills you. It basically disintegrates you. And these terrible weapons of war have been keeping this nation safe, despite its inward corruption and decadence for centuries. It's gotten so bad that the armed forces that defend the country they're a dumping ground for anybody too stupid to get through. The military has been dumbed down to the point where they have people, men and women who are little more than children who enlist in it. Their training is a joke. They can't fight their way out of a wet paper sack because they think that they'll never really need to have a real army. They're more interested in providing an enlightened, egalitarian well, basically, boys, you get the idea. Uh, Meanwhile, the enemy is basically infiltrating uh, their society, and even as the armies are marching down on them, the people are so deluded that they stand there in their own streets, carrying, holding a gigantic candlelight vigil, singing songs about peace and harmony and brotherhood, even as the barbarians, you know, come riding up through the streets and mow them down. And you read it and you think that there's no way that any society could become that ridiculous in real life. And I feel that everybody, all the usual haters mock Terry Goodkind for his his stories come across as ham-fisted. Let's put it that way. He's a ham-fisted objectivist and libertarian. And he is not subtle about the points he makes in his stories. And I read these things years ago. I mean, let's see. These stories, most of them came out in the 1990s, 1994, 95, 96, 97. The most recent one was in 2012. And people, the usual suspects, hate on him and say, he's ham-fisted, and we all owe him an apology. We all owe him an apology, because my God, right now in Europe, even as rape gangs are taking over the city streets of Europe, there are women standing out there with signs saying, "Welcome to the refugees." And there are these. I've seen a picture of a feminist standing there with a sign that says, "We'll trade our racists for rapists." They honestly, if when it comes down to brass tacks, their song and dance will change, but they are literally willing to say, that they would rather be raped by barbarian savages than be politically incorrect. And that is beyond the level of insanity parodied in these stories. I've said this myself. I should have remembered this myself. I've said this so many times. I don't have to make straw men in my comics. I have never once did I have to make a straw man in my comics. I never once made a straw man liberal in my comics, because I guarantee you this. I swear this on my honor. On my honor. No, I won't swear it, but I will affirm this on my honor, that no matter how ridiculous and outrageous and unbelievable and ludicrous and insane the behavior of my leftist characters, I will go and I will turn on the news within the next week, and there will be somebody doing exactly that or something even more insane. I've never had to parody leftists. In fact, Gilly. Everybody talks about how Gilly Gopher in Nip and Tuck is he's a straw man. No, he's not. He's understated. And in some corners, in some corners of the web, he's moderate. That's scary. I didn't think anybody could be that deluded. I never thought anybody could be that deluded. I didn't think anybody could be that deluded. I'm not lying. It stuns me constantly. I'm starting to, the more I hear of it, the more I'm starting to agree with some of the more uh, extreme views. Is that we, as a society, we made a mistake when we gave women the vote. He said it out loud. I'm sorry, as a class, as a group, yeah, women individually can behave intelligently, logically, rationally, but as a class, they are not motivated by those things. Women's primary focus, uh, their psychological primary focus in life is to avoid ostracism. That's psychologically rooted. They are more obsessed with being a part of the herd, part of the flock. Men have that to some extent, but women especially. They will sacrifice all reason to stay with the in group or to stay in the group they have. And when progressives come along, and when progressive ideologues come along and pass themselves off as being the mainstream, uh, women as a group will burn all their bridges and leap aboard. They'll jump on that bandwagon faster than anybody. You don't think women are inclusiveness obsessed? What is the number one children's show for little girls right now? Friendship is Magic. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. And the central theme is about how important your friends are. Literally, the premise of the story is that your whole life revolves around uh, maintaining your circle of friends. Friendship is a good thing, but taken to the level that most women take it, their need for inclusiveness, makes women the primary target of every social movement that comes down the pike. Women will do anything to reassure themselves that they are part of the tribe. And they consider being an outcast from the tribe to be the worst punishment possible. Ostracism is the you will notice in among young men and young boys, uh, the bullying tactic is abuse, physical assault and intimidation. Among girls, the primary tactic is ostracism, isolation. For about 100 years, women have had the vote in this country. And for about 100 years, the female demographic has continually voted further and further left. Because leftivism is very, very good at portraying itself as being uh, tribal. For a woman, the tribe is a source of safety, security, inclusiveness, belonging, support. And so the left, when it goes to appeal to women, portrays itself and goes out of its way to pass itself off as compassionate, enlightened, inclusive, all embracing. Protecting, providing. All the things a woman normally looks for in a man, she comes to look for in a government. And this effect on society is accelerated. It is accelerated by the feminization of our society. Masculine behavior and thinking and self-expression are routinely suppressed or openly attacked, vilified, villainized, while feminine ways of thinking, feeling, being are embraced and espoused as the only proper way to be. So each consecutive generation of young men grows up a little bit less masculine than the one before. Or at least playing along with it. Because let's face it, men, the main motivator for men is access to women. Boys, like in the '60s, as PG O'Rourke put it, back in the '60s, the hippie movement swept up all the young girls, and so any young man who wanted access to a girlfriend started spouting the rhetoric And he said that was him. He was out there rolling around in the grass, quoting Marx and Lenin and Ho Chi Minh, and, to try and impress some hippie girl with long blonde hair and no bra. This is the reason the feminist movement has gotten so large, so arrogant, and so overconfident in its power. Because up until this point, they pretty much managed to string the beta males along. You better come along on their you better come along on their gender neutrality equality march if you want to have a chance of having a date Saturday night. You know, that's how it works. Now, getting back to our, and you don't, you know, even conservative people will scream and throw a fit if you suggest that maybe, uh, God help you if you suggest that the uh, feminine influence on our society has gone too far. But it's self evident. An emasculated society will not defend itself. There are women in these European countries that are being overrun. There are women that are even now are tweeting. Their new hashtag is not your woman. They're basically campaigning, saying that telling. I believe it's in Sweden. They're saying Swedish men, we don't need you. We aren't your women. We don't need you to protect us. Yeah, my opinion is probably the common one. These women are perfectly welcome to go on an unescorted walk through the nearest Islamic slum, or the nearest quote unquote refugee camp, and see how long their opinion of Swedish men holds out like that. That is how demented our society is. That is how demented. There will be Germany, run by a German woman. German women being raped in the streets of Germany, and the chancellor, or whatever her name, what is she, chancellor, prime minister, whatever they have, is still letting these Muslim barbarians pour into their country. The worthwhile men in these countries, in Europe, in England, in America, in Canada, they're it's going to reach a point where they finally say, fine. And they will turn their back. These men are going out, and these men, they get these men going out, escorting women to safety through these neighborhoods, at risk of their own lives. And these feminists are spitting on them in Tumblr. And this is why so many, more and more uh, men are coming to the conclusion that women need to be treated like children, too simple and foolish to take care of themselves. Women, it comes out as women were given the opportunity over the past 100 years as a group to prove that they were as competent and capable as men. And this is where they are, standing out in the street with signs welcoming their rapists. White Western women are the most privileged, pampered, and spoiled class of people that have ever walked the face of the earth. And it went straight to their heads, and their IQs fell through the floor. What's going to happen is these barbarians are going to rip our society apart. And the decent men of our society are going to stand up. And after the worst of the flames die down and the smoke clears, they're going to wade in, rescue the survivors, and they're going to see our civilization. We're going to go back to the way things were in the 1890s. That's the closest we're going to come to having our civilization survive, is if that happens. And it's going to be completely deserved. When the mainstream culture of when the bulk of women behave in the way they're behaving now, standing out there ranting and raving things that even the dope smoking hippies of the 60s would have considered idiotic. They're not even stoned. They don't even have that excuse. Trying to find an image of the. I don't know. Let's see. There's the line tool. Okay. Okay. Let me switch a camera over here so you can see what I'm doing here. Working on the next Space Ranger. Correction, not Space Ranger. The next page of the probability bomb. isn't my pen working? There we go. People would rather see our civilization plunge into anarchy than see their precious, personally held little delusions proven wrong. I weep for the species. I absolutely do. It's a. Hired a guy. He was supposed to come back today. Guy that mowed my lawn. He was supposed to come back today, pick up some stuff. He was also supposed to haul out all these garbage bags. Uh, you don't realize just how far you've let things slide until you start stuffing trash into garbage bags and the bags start piling up. It's really mortifying. It really is. I've been I've been sitting here. I've been waiting for him to come back. He said he was going to be back. He was going to be here like noon or 1 o'clock. He never showed up. I don't have his number, or I do have his number, and I probably got it mixed up with somebody else's. But I can't find him, so I can't call him and find out what the noise is, what the problem is. A little aggravating. I made the mistake of paying him again in advance. You know, I was paying him for the mowing, and I gave him an extra 15. And he said, "If you'll haul this stuff out for me," and he said, "Okay, I'll be back tomorrow." And I'm never gonna learn, am I? I am never gonna learn. Can't hire anybody around here. You hire them, and you better make sure you better make sure and hold on to the money until they come in and do the job. Because they ain't going to show back up again until they need more beer money. That's what it amounts to. I thought I would have this thing done by midsummer, but I'm not even finished. I've still got, got to finish the comic. Then I've got to finish. Then I've got to do the character sketches for the character gallery. Compile it all together. And then all the compiling and putting it all together into one nice, neat, tidy little package. This may have been the poorest decision I ever made. This particular project. looking at here? What am I looking at? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, transfer. Okay. Let's talk about something else. Anything but politics right now. Some just still haven't been to see. Still haven't managed to go and see Zootopia. Just really, it's going to the going to a theaters pretty much out of the question for me. I don't. I don't like being out in public. You know, with my legs the way they are. And it's an ordeal for me to go anywhere or do anything. Just getting in and out of my own vehicle is a trial. So, not really. You know, I'm just gonna wait until they come out on Netflix or on DVD. They're gonna be desperate to get this thing out on DVD sales as quick as they can. Gravy, 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 money, money, money. You know. But let's talk fan fiction. I've noticed that of all the fan fiction, you know, of what few fan fiction franchises I've read, I'd say Harry Potter fan fictions. Very few of them, very few Harry Potter fan fictions uh, go outside the boundaries of the books, or rather a you know rather a disproportionate amount of them. Most people are writing, you know, fan fictions for like My Little Pony or Naruto or you know they expand on the story universe. They write stories that take place after the events of the book or the TV series, or they do crossovers and the like. But the majority of fan fictions I've read for Harry Potter, uh, most of them seem to be limited to taking place in the events of the books. I think that's largely because J.K. Rowling didn't really flesh out her world that much. You don't know much about the wizarding world outside of the small portion of it that Harry Potter himself witnesses. You know, all seven of the novels are written from the perspective exclusively from the perspective of Harry Potter. If you go back and read them, you notice that. That's the reason in the Deathly Hallows, the one part that stuck out like a thumb was the very, very small portion that was written from that followed the perspective of Snape at the beginning of the book. Every other book, the entire story is written from the perspective of Harry Potter. You know, that camera, the camera, as it were, follows him ruthlessly, and so you don't see very much of the Wizarding World beyond Diagon Alley. You see a little bit of Diagon Alley, a little bit of Nocturne Alley. You see Hogwarts. You see a few pinches, a few smattering bits of their government, and not really much of that. And that's pretty much it. There's very little. You see very little, proportionally, of Harry Potter's whole world. Now, you take, again, I'm going My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. They make a point. They have a map. Even before they had the magic crystal table map thing, they had a map of Equestria that you could had all these different countries and areas and deserts and mountains and cities and communities and you saw Canterlot, you saw Pony, and in the show you saw Canterlot, you saw Manhattan, you saw Ponyville, you saw Appaloosa, you saw the Crystal Empire, you saw all these scattered locations, and you could deduce a lot about the rest of it, but you write a Harry Potter fan fiction. If you stick strictly to Harry Potter's world and you're not doing a crossover, your options are kind of limited. You have to make everything up out of whole cloth, or you have to stick to stories that rewrite the events of the books. And most people seem interested in rewriting the events of the books. So that, for instance, Sirius gets out of Azkaban and survives, so that Cedric lives, so that but very few excuse me, go outside, the boundaries of the book as they're laid out, because they're big blank areas in J.K. Rowling's map, as it were. I really wish I could go see it, but it just wouldn't be worth. You're saying you've gone and seen Zootopia twice, and I'm like, yeah, I'd love to see it. I want to see it. But it's just dragging my carcass out. Now I'm going to have to go downtown Monday to see the doctor. I may just hang around downtown and catch a showing of it, since I've got to be down there anyway, if I have some bucks to spare at the time. That's another thing. I've seen some interesting fan art. People writing comics and stuff based on. I don't know if I told you this before. I've mentioned it before, but interesting is stereotype about bunny rabbits and carrots. Uh, you can't, rabbits really don't like carrots that much in real life. In fact, eating a lot of carrots is kind of bad for them. Rabbits are browsers. They prefer leafy greens. Oh, excuse me a minute. But the reason that that everybody associates carrots with rabbits is because of a impersonation that Bugs Bunny did when he was introduced very early on. Uh, at the time Bugs Bunny came out, there was a movie with Clark Gable. And there's one scene where Clark Gable is standing out in the middle of a field. He pulls a carrot out of the ground, cleans it off, and starts chowing down on it. And about that time, they started making Bugs Bunny cartoons. They drew Bugs Bunny, and he when he started chowing down on that carrot, he was doing an imitation of Clark Gable. Uh, and everybody got the joke back then, because the movie was very very popular, and it was a well known trope. And but the thing of it is, it became Bugs Bunny's thing to munch on carrots like that. And considering most people's experience with actual rabbits was limited entirely to what they saw Bugs Bunny doing, people came to the conclusion that rabbits were crazy about carrots, and they're not. They might eat the greens at the top, but they're not going to go out of their way and dig the things up. I'm kind of curious about seeing that one movie, The Good Dinosaur. I've seen some clips of it on YouTube. It's what I expected, so my curiosity is piqued. Okay, I'll be right back in just a second. I gotta take care of something. I'm back again. Thank you for waiting. Had to go take care of some stuff. Let's see here. Oh my. Get a leg massage. I'm a knee high. Yeah, turning around. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. Time to take another pill. Yeah. Let's see. Time to do a little research. Proofs of the universe. Eh.
On behalf of the team at Creation Ministries International, thank you for your first time visit to creation.com. Creation or evolution, design or time and chance. The foundation.
Oh, here's a couple of good ones. For instance, the proof of one of the proofs of the young age of the universe is spiral structure in galaxies should be it shouldn't exist. The spiral structure in galaxies should be lost in much less than 200 million years. In short, they should have spun out and ceased to have that spiral effect. The amount of helium retained in zircons and granite is consistent with an age of 6,000 years, give or take a couple of thousand. The amount of lead in zircons from Dreep Joke is also indicative. I'm looking for more stellar universe proofs. You got one page here. They've got 101 evidences for a young Earth, and they've got rebuttals here on the other side. Yeah. Most of it consists of yada yada, Throw as much technobabble as they can to cover it up. Don't expect to ever convince an evolutionist by the preponderance of evidence in your favor. evolutionists have made careers. I want you to think about this. Evolutionists makes a career. They make their living rationalizing every bit of data they get through the lens of evolutionary theory. You give them a piece, you give them a rock, and they will look at it through the lens of Darwin. They do not consider any other perspective to be legitimate analysis. That's not science, that's dogma, by the way. Excuse me a minute. Hello? Just the automated hospital system confirming my appointment for Monday. Okay. A lot of questions, a lot of questions. One of the common questions that people bring up when they talk about the age of the universe, the age of the world, and the age of the universe, they like to point out that stars are millions of light years away, right? And yet we see them now, and so obviously the universe must be at least that old because the light had to take 1,000,000 years to reach us, right? Uh, well, that's a fairly good argument. Something that should be addressed. Uh, well, first of all, we're working awful hard on the assumption that the stars that we are observing really are that far away. I mean, let's be honest. We really do not have any material way. I mean, we can't exactly go out, hop aboard a rocket ship, fly out there, and trail a measuring tape behind us or anything. We can't exactly fly out there and see actually how far it is. But let's take it for granted that they do have proof that the stars really are millions of light years away. Uh, thing to remember is that, first of all, they're assuming that time is a universal constant. Einstein's theory of relativity establishes that it is not. We live in a universe where portions of it are younger or older than others, and where time is going slower or faster than others. And regardless of the model of how the universe started, at the beginning of all existence, uh, the unrolling of time and space, the unfurling of the time-space fabric as the universe was cast out into its current formation, time and space would have been stretched all over the place like a sheet of taffy. It is perfectly feasible that the universe, from the perspective of Earth, was only a few days, only took a few days to form, even as eons flowed by elsewhere. That is one feasible explanation. That the 7 days of creation was a localized phenomenon. That is to say that while the rest of the universe was being stretched out billions of light years in length and being dragged back and forth through time by in on the level of eons in some locations, that here in Earth's solar system, on the Earth itself, only 7 days passed. Sitting here looking at this page and nothing, absolutely nothing is happening in my brain. Yes, there is some there is some evidence that the speed of light might actually be slowing down. They're not certain of that, so that's just hypothetical. But we do know this is that time is not a mathematical constant, not universal constant, and that time can be altered by both mass and velocity. And regardless of Mario, we know this: the universe is expanding. We can observe stars and galaxies hurtling away from us in the void. We also know this, which means that at one point the universe and everything in it was a lot smaller than it is today. You just go backwards. And remember what I said about time and velocity altering, mass and velocity altering the flow of time. That a universe being spread out consists of a hell of a lot of mass and traveling at a hell of a lot of velocity. So it is more than perfectly feasible that localized time here on Earth at the beginning of the universe would have a few days would have passed here as centuries, eons, millennia is stretched out elsewhere in the universe. Not to mention that the light, the light that had already traveled from the stars to Earth would have been stretched, distorted by the expansion of the universe. Sitting here looking at this image, I'm just drawing a blank. Come on. Trying to sort in my head all these little factoids, try to make a coherent. I beg your pardon. Um, I'm trying to visualize this. I'm trying to visualize this next page. I'm trying to get some sketching. I find myself stumped. Hmm. I sort of have a vision in my head of what I want to do. Okay. Now, there we go. Oh, and once again, I'm drifting off. Confound it. Okay, let's save this file here. Just save. And, Okay, I'm talking in circles at this point. I'm really just not, okay, well, we made a little headway. Got, just, And yep, I passed out again. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna I'm gonna try and pull an earlier show. I'm thinking maybe 1 o'clock, because my sleep schedule keeps shifting around because of various things going on here at home, and it's leaving me dragging. Okay, I'm gonna call it a night. And thank you very much for contributing to the Ralph Goes to Watch Zootopia Fund, I guess. Thank you. That was very kind of you. I think I will stop. I need to find like some parachute pants or something, or I may have to make some parachute pants. I don't think they make them in my size. Got them big enough for my butt, but my legs, no. But okay. I will see you all tomorrow. We'll try another time. Sometime I don't know. Probably let's say 1 o'clock. Call it 1 in the afternoon. Y'all take care of yourselves. Have a nice night. God bless.